Hello, whiskey friends. I've got two glasses in front of me, and they share something remarkably interesting in common, yet they smell completely different. And on the nose, the palate, I should say, they are incredibly different. Smooth, a little oaky, a lot of sweetness. Much smoother. Actually, probably a little bit more oaky, but dialed up considerably in the richness. It feels like a different drink. It's on the same profile, but what am I talking about? Well, if you've been paying attention, if you followed this, a year ago, we did an experiment here, and that was to take some of this and put it in this. This is the wood charred oak barrel stainless steel from badmotivator that I poured. It was a little under 9, just a little bit of spillage too, of Eagle Rares into this. It's been sitting in here aging for the last year, up on my bar, all over the place. Somewhat consistent temperature, but still has had some movement. Mostly around 22 degrees, 25 degrees, has gone up to 31 and has come all the way down to 14. So still not the level of movement that you would get in, say, a rickhouse. But it is a charred and toasted barrel front and stainless steel edge. So we're getting a little bit of that slower aging all round. Some interesting things. I've been trying this kind of through the year as time has gone on. Have a little bit of sip here and there just to see how it is moving, changing, and evolving. And it is in an absolutely delightful place. I've shared a few pours of this with people. And what is quite interesting is that I know my own tastes will go in and out, but actually I feel like it in itself has gone through some cycles where sometimes it must have been like pulling in a lot of wood because it's tasted really woody and like a fresh green wood on some months. And then I'd come back to it a couple months later and that woodiness was completely gone and replaced with a deep sweetness. So I was wondering, how this is related to whether it's pulling out of the wood or pulling into the wood during that time. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out more when I go to Kentucky and learn a little bit more about the process. But it's been a very interesting experiment from that perspective. Comparative to the standard Eagle Rare, this has got a little more of a, in comparison, and we would say like splitting hairs, it's not so much actually because they are quite different. But this has a slight sour note that's very typical to Eagle Rare, but in comparative to this, that sour note is completely gone. Which has been replaced, if the sour note was kind of like an upwards lift, it's actually been replaced with something that drops it to a much smoother, more subtle note on that wood end, which is really quite surprising. It's only been in there for a year. It is a small barrel, but then it is again new oak. So I don't know. It's very difficult to kind of like say over a camera like just how different this is. But I guarantee you, not a single person would ever that knows Eagle Rare would drink this and say this tastes like Eagle Rare, because it doesn't. It is just entirely different now. It has some of the similar characteristics, but it's an entirely new drink. It is absolutely delicious still. Which would I prefer? That's a good question. And the problem is I'm going to have a whole bunch of bias here. And this is on this day. But in a blind, I think this might currently win. It would be interesting to see how it comes. They're very close, but the problem is they're very different. So I think someone would think that this is considerably older. Eagle Rare drinks quite smooth, but sometimes it drinks like, you know, a 5 or a 6 year in terms of like that little upfrontness that like sometimes it's surprising that it is 10 years old, particularly at the price point it is, because it's an incredibly affordable pour over here in the UK. Which is why we used it for this barrel project. But it's already got 10 years on it. So it's obviously something, we know that Eagle Rare goes all the way out to 25 and I think even 30 years now. So we know that it is juice that can withstand an aging process. But this is something all unto itself. It is absolutely delicious. I tend to have this around with me sometimes if you do want to have like a 1 year anniversary sip. I know a few people have tried it as it's gone through that process. Chuck in a comment on the bottom of this YouTube, or there might be a little flashy element in the Instagram. Let me know if you're in the UK, if you want to try it. I don't know if I could get some to the Kentucky Bourbon Festival, but I might put a couple of small pours in my bag to carry around with me in Kentucky. So if you find me, and if you follow the channel, if you find me in Kentucky whilst I am running around the Bourbon Festival, sorry, not the Bourbon Festival, but the bourbon sites, if I'm in Louisville, if you do come across me and you recognize me, which is highly unlikely because I'm probably going to have 2 or 3 samples anyway, if you see me, I will happily give you a sample of that if I've still got it. I'm going to keep that tight-lipped to only if it's somebody that spots me in and around. I don't think I'd be able to smuggle one into the Bourbon Festival, but if I see you there, maybe I can give you one before entry or something on a future day, or if you're at an event or in the area around, because we'll be staying in Bardstown for a few extra nights after the festival. Yeah, I'll have one in my car or something. But even in this is the one I go back to. This is the one I want to have a second pour of. So, such an interesting experiment. I don't know of Buffalo Trace doing a double oaked Eagle Rare mash bill, which I think would be really interesting for them to do as an experiment, as an experience, because this, having that second round of oaking to it, just does something really, really interesting. Again, this is tiny scale. This is nothing comparative to what you would expect in any kind of a controlled circumstance, but that's the fun of having fun with whiskey. So I wanted to make this post an update today. It's a year on, just to see how this is going, how it's gone sitting in the badmotivator barrel. And it has been such a fun experiment so far. It's taught me a little bit about that aging process already. I think the one day that I was most surprised was during a heat wave when it got up to that 31 degrees. And I'm sure the amount that I sample off it is probably impacting the volume of air in it and changing the way that it's moving as well. So it's never going to be something that can be replicated. But it was 31 degrees and I opened up the tap here to get some out. And normally it just dribbles out slowly. You've got like the air, it's doing this pressure equalization. So a little bit comes out, air goes in, a little bit comes out, it comes in, it drips out very slowly. That day, I opened it and it was like releasing a pressure valve. The whiskey just fired into the glass, like opening a shaken up Coke can. And that told me that it was really under pressure during that time. It was obviously definitely would have been pushing into the wood, and was something that I hadn't really thought about. It gave me that little bit of insight into the what's going on inside the barrel. Normally in a rickhouse, you know, where you have that everything is actually under pressure, and we know that's what creates the pressure difference is what creates it. But actually imagining it as when you put a hole in it, something fires out under that pressher and then the liquid is forced out, still caught me off guard, which was quite interesting. So there it is. A year on, we will see how it keeps going. This is destined to be an infinity barrel only once it gets low enough or small enough, or starts to, I feel like, going in a direction where it's starting to drop off or get not as good. I might bottle some out or top it back up, because if it goes all the way down to 15, 17, 20 years down the line and it's starting to get low, or I feel like it could it's maybe getting a little too woody, I can always add some fresh 10 or even 12 now into this mix and catch it back up, balance it back out again. So we will see how it keeps going over time. So there we are. Such a fun experiment for what was a couple of £100 worth of whiskey. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.